What is up, guys? This is Merc with the mic, and this is another shell shock episode podcast of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I fucked that whole up. Shell shock is back. This is episode 2. Today we will be reviewing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: The Secret of the Ooze.
Did we really find out the secret of the ooze, though?
It made them. That was the secret.
Yeah, but, I don't know.
I feel that this movie was intended to be more than what it was and then what we got.
Well, I watched it on a very pixelated version on Netflix last night, so... why can't Netflix just put out the Blu-ray version of it?
So, I know Netflix is, slowing down the service.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because everybody's going crazy on it right now, right?
Yeah. So, but I gotta go. When I watched it yesterday, it looked good. So, but then again, I watched it at 4 a.m.
Yeah, no, I watched it. I was a little drunk. I was laying in bed. I was like, let me get through this. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am Tenacious T.
Yes, I forgot to introduce you because we went.
This is the Merc with the mic.
Yes. We
are self-quarantined, 74 miles away from each other.
Yeah.
Via comm.
Through Google Hangouts. Thank you, Google.
If any of you fellow podcasters out there find yourself in a pickle because you can't sit with your fellow castmates, use this. It works pretty well.
Yeah, so far so good. This will be the second cast. This is the second cast of the Ahhh Shell Shock podcast. We have a little news with it and what we're gonna do with this, and because we want to add another cast coming down the road. So this one will be a bi-monthly cast. So this one we'll record every 2 months, and we will still be going through the movies for now. Little by little, we'll probably go into the cartoon series and everything else in between. But right now, we are in the movies. This will be, again, the second cast will be, this is part 2 for the movie. And then we're going to keep this by cast so we can start a retro game cast. And so we can have this, and then both of them, even out each other. So you'll get one.
Which the Turtles will be mentioned in those retro video games.
Yeah, because then the video game ones, we will probably talk about the Turtles a lot. Because
instead of having its own Ahhh Shell Shock, it could be... broadcasted on our retro video game cast, which we don't have a name for yet.
No name yet.
Anybody has any ideas, please put it below in the comments.
Most likely what's going to happen is that we're going to make the name 10 minutes before the show.
Probably.
That's exactly what Ahhh Shell Shock happened, and that's how the Morphin Cast happened.
Yeah, well, Not a Trekkie started with me on a toilet.
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from, but it just popped in my head.
It was one of those epiphanies poops.
Yeah, I shitted it out. You know what I mean?
It was
go now and like and subscribe those casts now, please. We've been doing this for 3 years now, so shows that our hard work. Today is our
this month. Yeah, it was the 3-year anniversary of our joining forces to do the Morphin Cast. So the Morphin Cast is 3 years old today. This month.
And that was pre-Tenacious T. I didn't even know my name back then.
Yeah.
So I went through a lot of different names, was.
Do you remember any of them? I can't think of one right now.
Well, Tommy T. Then it was Tommy Knockers. Then it was Teeter Tater Totter.
It was Tommy Knockers MD.
MD,
Self-medicated.
Self-medicated. It sounded so bad, it made it sound like I did drugs, which I don't, so it works out.
Cephalogonidas.
Yeah. Yes. Lycos, sponsor us.
Yes.
We love them.
So, this is our podcast on our review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze.
Yes, as a kid, I loved the number 1, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Number 1 was it was everything in my world growing up. But when number two brought to me, it was more fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Number 1 was fun, but it was more serious and more dark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Very adulty. This one, I felt it brought it back to the essence of kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they were more adulty in the first movie. Like, I felt like they were actually teenagers in this. You know, it was like more animated feel. You know what I mean? Like, they had a lot of fun.
Yeah, so this one was supposed to be more intended to recreate the cartoon in this movie. As in the first movie, it was honestly, you could seriously see that it was based on the comic and not the cartoon. Yeah. As in the characteristics of the turtles and everything so forth. This one, they try to go more with the cartoon characteristics in the way that, to make it more lively, more fun. They didn't use weapons in this movie. They just used their fist and they used things around them just to make it more fun and more entertaining. Kind of like the cartoon. Kind of like the
Cold
cartoon.
Cuts. Pepperoni.
Combat Coconuts. Yeah. So this movie was again was a sequel. The first movie was very successful. It was probably the highest grossing independent movie for quite some time, until recent. Actually,
it showed that independent filmmakers can fucking really start to thrive. We're back, I think the 80s to me were the best generation of movies. You know what I mean? And then I think the 90s was probably the best generation for kids. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but the 80s, it was all those major, movie filmmakers and, studios and stuff like that making everything. So to see an independent film reach the gross that it did was actually really cool.
Yeah. If you never really knew the backstory of the movie and how it was made, definitely check out this documentary called Turtle Power. It is very, very pretty heavy detailed into how that movie was made and how it got together. It's a crazy ass story where a lot of people did not want that movie made.
And I have not seen it, so I actually have to go and see that.
Yeah, check that out. It's a really good documentary. I think it's on Hulu now. So you can probably find it on the Fire Stick and shit too.
Most people have Fire Sticks these days. So.
So this movie came out March 22nd, 1991. It grossed $78,656,813. Budget was $25 million.
Cents. So it made its money back.
Yeah, it made double its money. Yeah.
Triple.
Yep. So it didn't do as strong as the first movie, but it was a strong number.
Yeah, well, the first movie was like the first of its kind. Yeah. You know what I mean? But we had full, like, the suits alone.
Yeah.
But worth every penny.
But in argument, like, I know for a fact a lot of people, it depends on the first and second one. A lot of people, if you like the first one, you probably like the second one more if it was more fun in your taste. Some people like the second one more than the first one, so it depends.
Nobody likes the third one.
Nobody likes the third one.
I did, bro. I enjoyed the third one.
I don't. You know what? There's things I liked about it. I thought it was okay. It's better than the Michael Bay ones. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'll give that. I don't know. The third one was fun. You know what I mean? It brought back Casey Jones. So.
Yeah. So.
But he was doing more babysitting than anything. So.
Yeah. So, I read a little synopsis of this movie, and then we go on from there. So, this movie, the film follows the adventures of the four turtles, Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael, and their master Splinter. Resuming the events of the last film, the villain Shredder returns to take back command of the Foot Clan, which he didn't really want to take back command. He was just saying, I want revenge. So he didn't take revenge.
He didn't even trust them. He fucking hated them. He was like, they failed me. I failed.
Yeah. And work towards getting revenge on the turtles. When he learns the secret behind the turtles' mutations, he becomes more dangerous than ever. The film sheds some light on the origins of Splinter and the turtles, as well as introduces new villains Tokka and Razar. Unlike the first film, this one rarely showed us of the turtles' use of weapons. They fight bare-fisted for much of the film as part of the attempt to tone down the violence of the previous movie. Yes. The film was released March 26, 1991 and received mixed negative reviews from critics who left and departed from much darker tone in the original 1990 film, and it was more lighthearted. Despite this film was financially successful and becomes the 13th highest grossing film domestically in the years of its release.
Man, I love this film. I thought this film was so good.
Yeah.
It really was. Like, as a kid, you know what I mean? Like, you just got that essence of the cartoon in a live action.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, one thing I wish they had, to me, Corey Feldman was the voice of Donatello. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when they switched up, and I remember specifically when I was a kid watching this, and then I heard Donnie's voice, because Donnie is my favorite turtle. I was like, that's not fucking Corey, man. It's like, even back then, I was always disappointed in the voice that was used for Donatello.
I didn't mind him because he had funny.
It grows on you. It's fine, but Corey Feldman has that essential voice. You know what I mean? Like, I watched that movie millions of times as a kid, and then go jump to Turtles 2, and then it's like it's a different dude. You know what I mean? Everybody else was the same sounding voices except for Donnie.
Yeah.
You know, Michelangelo, I'm pretty sure was the same guy. Leo and Raph. You know what I mean?
They're all the same cast.
All the same people.
Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman wanted more money, or he just was too cracked out of his mind to do it.
That, and he was doing like Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood, and you know, obviously everybody knows the history of his drug abuse. So.
Yeah. So anyway,
I can understand how he's not a family-oriented person for people to listen to. Yeah. But he was that voice. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Still to this day, Corey Feldman will be the voice of Donatello.
Yeah. So, what was your first experience with this movie?
Well, when I was a kid, I had it on the VHS tape. Yeah. You know what I mean? I didn't see it in the movies that I remember anyway, because it's 1991. I'm 6 years old.
Yeah.
5 years old. Yeah, 5 at the time. So I don't recall going to see it in the movies, but I remember getting it on VHS. I remember the sleeve to it. And then I remember popping it in and just having the biggest appetite for pizza ever. You know what I mean? Like, the first opening scenes of the movie, it's just nothing but people eating pizza.
Roy's Pizza.
Yeah, was that an actual place?
Yeah, it was Ray's Pizza. It was on 8th Street and 6th Avenue. It's not there no more. It closed down a long time ago.
I believe that, but it would have been cool to, like, go to that spot.
I have been there a few times. It was not that far from where I used to work in GameStop. The GameStop I used to work at. So I had the pizza there. It wasn't as cheesy as in the movie. When you go, if you watch that movie, if you watch that movie and then go back and eat that pizza, you're like, damn, that's disappointment.
It's like that girl was lifting up the slice.
Yeah.
And it was just like dripping. It was like, it really made you want to eat pizza. Like, they must have sold so much pizza.
So what I remember, something that I think it was from the first arcade game on the NES. When they released that game, I think it came out within simultaneously of this movie, actually. And it used to come with
the NES game?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the arcade game on the NES.
Okay.
So that game used to come with a coupon for Pizza Hut. For a free pizza and Pizza Hut.
You think that shit still is valid these days?
No.
Like, it's false advertisement, man. There's no expiration date on it.
There actually is.
That's messed up.
Actually, there was an expiration date, because I have the original copy, and I actually looked at it, and it was like, November of 1992 or some shit.
I wonder if Game On. I know Game On has a sealed one of those games.
He probably has the coupon then.
Yeah, man. Like, but if I ever bought that, I would never open it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It would just. I have Batman, and I showed you this when you came to my house. I got the original Batman from 1989, still sealed in a VHS tape.
Yeah.
Like, original, like not reproduced. It was the original time. Yeah. I've had that thing forever. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So, my experience with this movie. I remember my mom took me to see this one. I went with her by myself, and it was in this movie theater that used to be in Exit Street called Exit Theater, and it was like a Chinese-run movie theater, and they always had movies early and shit like that. They had like really early showings and stuff like that, so we went to see it. I had a doctor's appointment, so I was able to cut school and go see it. It was fucking
nice.
awesome. Yeah.
It's like a hooky day.
Yeah. So we went to see it right after the doctor's appointment, and the movie blew my mind away. I was just so happy with that movie because the first one blew my mind away. So the second one was as good as well, but there was something I noticed very fast when I was watching this movie is that they did not use the weapons once. And that was something I was like, okay, that's something that I kind of like that.
You know, it's funny from paying attention to it as a kid and then watching it as an adult.
Yeah.
Like, I watched it last night, and I was so into it. I was catching more and more things.
Yeah.
Now, here we are, basically almost 20 years later, next year. Literally almost to the date, you know what I mean, 20 years since the movie came out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm finding out more. I'm watching it, and I was like, yo, like, Shredder barely moves in the whole movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Shredder doesn't move at all. And there was certain things that bugged me about, like, the interaction between, like him and everybody. Like, he didn't fight.
No.
He didn't, like, he had Splinter right there at one point in time. Wouldn't you want to just use everything you have to go and get the person who beat you in the last movie?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Get to that later, but it's just funny how you can watch it and still catch new stuff.
Yeah.
Because you're an adult and you understand things.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed also. Like, Shredder didn't really like lift a finger in this whole movie besides when he became Super Shredder, and that's when he broke shit. And then you think that if the mutagen really fucked with his brain, that it made him stupid. Or did it just coincidence that he just broke the fucking thing?
And I caught last night that that the doctor dude who did it, I never caught the fact that he tampered with the mutagen, the ooze, to make Tokar and Razor dumb. I never caught that. And here I am 20 years later, I was like, holy shit, that makes so much sense because young animals are probably more violent than older animals are because they gotta protect themselves and shit. So it's like, especially with wolves, and and I've seen snapper turtles in person, and no matter what age, they're fucking assholes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, good times.
Yes.
I was happy I watched it last night because I have nothing else to do in my life.
It was a fun movie. It is a really fun movie. I think it was a great sequel to what we got from the first movie. The first movie will hold down. Like, that's the best movie Turtles ever made was the first movie.
Yeah. No, I don't think anything will ever top that.
But this one is a close second. This one actually, honestly, rewatching it, last night as well. It just made me feel like a kid again. Like, I was cracking up on the jokes, and the thing is, this is something about Ninja Turtles, especially even the third one. Honestly, there's some of the little one-liners they say just makes me fucking laugh. It's just like a really random one-liner.
Alone going from straight from the beginning, from that pizza scene that makes you drool for pizza.
Yeah.
It goes right into an action scene.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite action scenes, too.
Which is, but it's so much fun at the same time. Like, they look like they were beating the shit out of these guys robbing a toy store.
Yeah.
What is more epic than the Turtles beating up people in a toy store where they can use the toys to antagonize them? Like when Donnie was on that rocking thing.
The clown, the Weeble Wobble.
Yeah, the Weeble Wobble thing, and it just comes and it just starts hitting him with the boom, up, you know what I mean? And then Michelangelo gets goes over the counter where they obviously made sandwiches and stuff like that, and the combat cold cuts, and
so
it was so much fun. Just the opening scenes of the movie.
I think that was one of my favorite opening scenes, like in the movie period, and just like how they jumped in the air, and then you had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle name on this fucking bottom.
Because Kino goes down, and he beats up the couple guys. He was like, "Did I tell you I study martial arts?"
He saw someone. He heard noises going from the place, so he went in to investigate.
When he should have been delivering pizza.
Yeah.
He was a horrible pizza boy because if you notice, every single time he touched the pizza, he was holding it sideways.
Yeah.
The pizza would have been destroyed every single time. He was a horrible pizza boy.
That pizza would have been all on the side of
And he called that girl fat. How could you call her fat?
Well, she called him a loser.
Dweeb.
She called him
a dweeb.
Exactly. So it was like when I dream of it,
dream on, dweeb.
Like when I dream,
I'm a dream of something thinner. Which, which I thought was pretty awesome because Keno was in the suit of Donatello in the first movie.
Yeah, Ernie Reyes. And his father was in Leonardo's.
Which is awesome because, like, it gives, like, a nod. Like, thank you for your service to the first movie.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then he actually gets a scene in it. And then the only other movie I remember him ever being in was Surf Ninjas.
He was in a Rundown with The Rock.
I don't remember that.
He was one of the.
I remember the movie, but
the big fight scene when the Portuguese dudes were like fucking swinging from the trees and shit.
That's I would have to rewatch it because I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Yeah, that was he was in that movie. But yeah, Surf Ninjas, because this Surf Ninjas came right after this movie.
Yeah, this is the same time Rob Schneider was on SNL, and then Judge Dredd was coming out. It was like that MTV era.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where the Airheads and Adam Sandler started coming out with his movies and stuff like that. So, like, this era of movies was fun. I felt like it pertained more to the teenagers. Yeah. And that's why I was happy to see the Turtles actually goofing around like 15-year-old kids that they are.
Yeah.
Because they're 15.
Yeah. I like that. I liked it a lot. But the opening scene was awesome. I liked the whole thing. Them going into the stores, using the toys, and this is the first time you actually start noticing that they're not really using the weapons at all, but they're using things like their weapons, like the combat cold cuts and.
Donatello is like he's mopping the floor with his bow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so like they whoop these guys' butts and then they steal the pizza.
They paid them though.
I understand that, but that was pizza that they already ordered to go to April O'Neil's house. So now Keno doesn't know this.
Yeah.
So he had pizza robbed from him, but paid for. So wouldn't he go back to Roy's Pizza, go get more pizza and deliver it to April O'Neil? Because technically, she never got her order.
Well, if they don't call and complain, then there's something changed.
Well. Keno was a little sneaky little bastard, but right after that fight scene, I thought it was awesome because they go, April O'Neil goes inside and she's cleaning up after them. You got to see what happens after the first movie because obviously their den got destroyed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And they didn't want to go back, even though they felt like the foot was, dissembled. You know what I mean? But they didn't have a place to stay, so they were bunking up. And this beautiful apartment that April O'Neil had in the city.
Yeah.
Which is played by a completely different girl. You know what I mean? Did you like her better or worse than the first April?
I felt like she just she wasn't really in the movie like the first one was.
Yeah.
As in the first one had more of
she was more in the third one.
Yes. But she had the first one had a more of a standable role in the first one than the second one. Second one, she was just there. Like, she did her thing. She did her investigating, things like that. But she wasn't really a focal point on a lot of things.
That was one of the first things that I noticed. I was like, that is not the chick from the first one.
I didn't know it, though.
Yeah, but the girl from the first one actually looked like the girl from the cartoon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which was... to me was spot on. With her, I thought she was cool. Like you saw her character, like, she was there. How long is the time frame between the first movie and this one? Because she wasn't living in this apartment.
Yeah.
She was living upstairs of that antique store.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, how long did she have this apartment for? How long is the time frame? Because when we fast forward to Shredder being, basically digging himself out of, the landfill, how long has that motherfucker been laying in the fucking landfill for?
In the end, by the end of the movie of the first one, she did get a raise, and she did become like the number one reporter and all that shit. So she had the money to buy her apartment.
I get that.
And then insurance.
It made it look like she was living there forever, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then insurance.
Oh yeah, well, all those priceless antiques that she had.
So she probably rolling in the dough, but she wanted to keep it low, because she had the rooftop too.
Yeah. What happened to Charles, man? Charles just had it. And he was like, Danny was an asshole. I gotta move him out to like Oklahoma or some shit. The city is not good for.
He's in Nebraska somewhere.
Danny's probably in rehab somewhere.
Probably. Honestly, I think he's actually really was in rehab.
I wouldn't even doubt that at all.
But I didn't mind April O'Neil. I thought she played her role. She was okay. It's just like again, she didn't have like a more like in the first movie. I think she had more of an important role than she'd had in this movie.
Yeah.
This one, she's just there.
I mean, you can actually see her getting annoyed at them, because they were messing up her house. Like, as she's walking in, the girl made that little snarky remark, like, yeah, if you just calm down with all the aerobics all the time, and the yelling and chanting, she's like, oh, yeah, my aerobics, not knowing that there's 4 mutated turtles upstairs practicing, and damn well, their punishment was to do backflips.
Yeah, that was funny. So she goes in the house, she sees all the mess, and she says the rat is the cleanest one.
Which I thought was hilarious. Because as we know, rats are just naturally dirty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The rat's cleanest one. And he kind of stood to his... Like, I think Splinter was probably the nicest guest because he kind of stood up in the roof. Like, he didn't really...
Yeah, he was meditating a lot.
Yeah, so he stood on the roof a lot, and he just did his own thing. Like, he stood out the way while the turtle just invaded space.
So once the turtles come back in from that fight, and they're all amped up, and they bring back the pizza. She's like, "Oh, pizza again." You know what I
mean? Yeah.
And then this is when I actually I can understand Raphael a little bit more because of this movie. Like Raphael actually just wanted more. You know what I mean? Like he was an asshole and he was a very stern person.
Yeah.
Character.
Yeah.
He's not really a person. But like he was sort of like a dreamer, He's just like, yo, like we saved the city. Like why can't we go out and just be ourselves now? You know what I mean? It's like Shredder did a swan dive with a half gainer right into the back of a garbage truck.
Raphael,
son, come away from there. Never forget who you are. That struck a chord in him. He was like, yo, listen, we just saved the whole city. Like, why can't we go out and be ourselves? You know what I mean? He's like, ninja, practice the art of invisibility. Da-da-da. People upstairs, up above them wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
So, he wanted more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was frustrated about that.
Yeah, he got stuck being out. It's like a fucking cabin fever. You get stuck being home. Like we are now.
Yeah, well, quarantine, you know what I mean? I'm not going out and fighting crime, so I'm not really... I'm fine with my quarantine.
And then he makes Raph do the 10 backflips. Which I found it was a fun little punishment when he gets mad at them. He has
10
him doing
backflips now.
So then what else we got? So basically April kind of like slowly hints, have you find anything or have you even looked at everything? Donatello goes into a little character saying that he's...
Well, there's not really much of a market for subterranean housing.
Yeah.
And then, she did that little fake, well, you guys can stay as long as you want. And Splinter's like, no, we're a nuisance and we're going to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Sorry.
And then at the same time, we go over to the landfill where where Shredder, which we thought we beat in the first movie, he comes back.
Tatsu,
yeah, Tatsu, now lead. Shredder's like, hell no, motherfucker, I'm back, bitch. Like, you will always be second in command.
Yeah. So he goes in. Whoever challenges me for this, I see.
Challenge.
I was like, yo, how you change?
No, he was in the same clothes.
No, he wasn't.
Shredder was in the same clothes. He just didn't have his mask on.
It was pink.
I think it was the same clothes. No, it was dark. He walked in the entranceway and he was dark as shit.
It was purple though.
I don't know, man. Maybe they failed on that one, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, where you get the change of where you get these pajamas from, and how you found them in the landfill?
I just don't understand how long this sequence was. How long was from the first movie to this movie?
I think it's probably
like 2 weeks,
maybe a month.
So Shredder lived sleeping in a coma
for like 10
for a month.
Yeah.
That's just not.
It made his pajamas purple.
The stank. stink of, and that honestly, that dump must have been Staten Island.
Yeah.
Because that's where all the New York dump goes to, right? Staten Island.
Just
so that's probably Staten Island where they're at.
Staten Island it is. I don't like Staten Island.
And it's Long Island should be a borough and not fucking Staten Island.
Staten Island should just be part of New Jersey. Jersey, you can keep that.
We don't like that. We don't. Their pizza's pretty good though.
Their pizza is pretty good. That's about it.
Yeah, that's really about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Shredder, they start making him a. Yeah, I liked his helmet. You know what I mean? I like when they reconstructed it and it's all like bladed out and like sharp and I thought Shredder. Yeah, I mean his look was good, but his presence didn't match his look. You know what I mean? He wasn't really in it.
No, he wasn't as like what he was in the first movie.
Yeah, because technically his soul probably, like, his ego was shot to shit.
Yeah, he got fucking knocked into a damn garbage truck. I would feel a certain way, too.
By a rat.
That barely moved.
You know what I mean? So, they hire this guy, basically, to follow April O'Neil. He's a foot soldier, because they're trying to bring the Foot Clan back. So, all they're trying to do is recruit young people with training and stuff like that. So
stupid kids,
fucking dummies.
Yes.
So they April O'Neil starts doing her her investigating because TGRI, which is more known from the cartoon, this is the first time that we actually get to hear them in a movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where they are the reason behind the mutation. They had canisters that were displaced, that were dumped into the ground.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't get why they did that, but, it happened. And, yeah, they had the overgrown dandelions, and the new guy found it.
So, my little issue with the dandelions is the fact that I think this scene should have shown a small dandelion next to the big one.
Yeah, to show like the difference between the mutations.
Yeah, because honestly in the scene, like I know what's going on in the scene, but honestly, if I first saw this movie, I wouldn't have no clue. Like, why is he just plucking that flower? Why
is that whole area a containment zone and they missed that? And it's literally 10 feet away from where they're.
And it's humongous.
You can't miss that. Like that little hill, hid that from them. You know what I mean? That was just poor. That was a poor execution.
So April's, I think, cameraman snuck back there and took.
Well, no, he was like the wire guy. It was his first day. You know what I mean? He was like, and then which is clever because I didn't realize this until watching it last night. She went up to I forget the doctor's name, the professor's name.
Yeah.
Scientist's name. I forget his name, but. She walked up to him like, I have additional questions. Yeah. Will you answer them? He's like, oh, time's up. And then he asked her, and I never caught this. He was like, oh, what were you going to ask him?
Yeah. Jordan
she
Perry.
was like, oh, it wasn't even, it's not even that important. And then she dipped off. Yeah. And then you found out that he was, part of the Foot Clan.
Yep.
Which I thought I never caught the fact that he was investigating her. He was following her. I mean, I knew he followed her, but that just made more sense. Like, what were you gonna ask him? Like, he was doing more. It was, I don't know. It just made that scene a lot better for me.
So that was my little thing with that. It was just the fact that there was no there was no visual of the smaller and bigger. So that, honestly, if you would have saw that scene without knowing what the mutation did, you would have no clue what the fuck they were picking a flower for.
Well, yeah, but you saw the mutagen in the first movie.
Yeah. Like I said, if you see this is the first movie you saw of the Ninja Turtles, you have no clue why they picked the flower for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my...
But you know that there's canisters around.
Yeah.
And that they had some type of property of it a little bit. But they still had no clue, really. They never really told us why they dumped all that shit there.
Yeah. And again, I think, like I said before when we started this cast, it was there's a lot of things. There's a lot of ideas of this movie that was supposed to happen that we didn't get, and there was a lot of things that were supposed to be within this whole universe that they're supposed to lead to the third one that just didn't do it, and they just changed the movie completely in what we got. Even though I liked the movie, I felt like that other one that I heard the rumors for, it's crazy and what the idea they had behind it.
What could have been.
I will talk about it when we're done reviewing the movie, and then I'll go into some of the stuff that is supposed to be what was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But Professor Jordan Perry, that's his name.
Yeah, Jordan Perry. He so they take that dandelion back to Splinter. He was like, "This is not the reason why I sent you to follow her," because he was just bent on revenge. You know what I mean? And then he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He's like, "Shut up, bitch." What you gave me was a lot better. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So then we fast forward over to April coming home, and the turtles are cleaning the house because they feel bad. They're dancing around, they're having a good time, and then she comes home and she's like, "Where's Splinter?" And they're like, "Yo, Splinter's been upstairs on the roof since your thing." And this is when we finally get. We tie in the first movie with the second movie.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, this is the route we're going.
Right so we go into the roof with Splinter, and he explains the TCR.
Many moons ago.
Yeah. Many moons ago. He shows the TCR icon and saying that this was our origin. This is what made us. And
the past. What did he say? Oh man.
Our past. Shit.
Man, it's pissing me off right now.
Let's see if I can find
I think the past returns.
Yes.
I knew we'd find something special.
Yeah. So they go and investigate the TCRI building.
TGRI.
TC. Isn't it TC?
TG.
TGRI?
TGRI.
Yeah. So they go and investigate the building the same way as the Foot come and investigate the same way. So there's another fight scene in there, but they had some cool little one-liners, like Mikey looking like it's like a fucking arcade and shit, trying to find a quarter.
Like, where do you put the quarter?
Yeah, and then Donatello finds the computer, and he goes in and he sees there's one canister remaining.
Yeah, and then the foot took that.
Yep.
So they have one canister, and then they kidnapped Jordan Perry.
Yep.
And they made him duplicate that, basically.
Yep. Pretty much.
And what he did was, he actually was smart as shit.
Yeah.
It's like, if I'm going to do this, it's not going to be as strong. But how did he know that it was that strong?
So I think he did it in a way that the fact that it will protect, as bad as it is, it will protect him as a little bit at least.
Because he didn't know the turtles were even around.
No, he hasn't met them yet.
You know what I mean? He doesn't know what Tokar and Razor is going to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that didn't make too much sense to me, how he knew to dampen it and make them dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he doesn't know the effects of it. Because they don't even know that's what was happening. He only knew it from the environment of what was going on. And then he sees the dandelions. Like, oh shit, this shit is stronger than what we actually predicted it to be. You know what I mean?
We also get the first introduction. Right before that, we saw the introduction of Kino meeting the turtles.
Yeah.
And fucking stepping on
He just shows up at the crib.
Yeah, with pizzas.
How the fuck did he get inside the house? It was like me going to your house waiting for somebody to open up the door so I can hop in the elevator. You know what I mean?
With pizza.
Technically, with pizza, yeah, but like you just show up at my house with pizza?
Yeah. He's like, hey, you order here enough. I might as well give you some pizza.
He was creeping on it. He was trying to get that ass.
Yeah. And then he saw the big ass toe of Raphael and he steps on it. And he's like, ooh, let me kill him. Like, let me kill him. A little bit. Just a little bit.
Let me hurt him. and then he, we go into the whole Leonardo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Basically, he tells him the history, and then Kino just hops right on board, like, oh, the Foot, like, yo, I can basically be a secret agent. Go in there. He's like, no, Kino, fuck you.
But Raph thought it was a good idea.
Which Which it was a good idea.
It was, actually.
And it's funny with that scene when he goes and meets up at the bridge.
Yeah.
You know, with all those gang-looking members. Fucking Spawn is behind him.
Yeah.
Fucking, what's his face?
Michael J. White.
Yeah, he's standing right behind him. I did not notice that until last night.
Yeah.
Which I thought was awesome. I was like, oh, shit. Because he's, like, hardcore martial arts.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, he's a badass boy. You know what I mean? That man is no joke. But it was crazy to see him in that. I was like, oh, my God, look at him all young. Trying to become a foot soldier. I thought that shit was cool as hell.
Yeah.
So, which the whole training scene was awesome.
So before we go into the training scene, we got the turtles decide to look for a new place. So you had the big scene of them like looking everywhere for a new place and stuff like that. And Mikey happened to fall right into it.
Yeah.
And
which is sort of, since we work for the railroad and we're part of the transit system and all that shit, like I thought it was cool as hell. Like that was refreshing.
Yeah, because
they actually have stuff like that really in the city.
So the thing they used was actually you see it in Turtles 3 more than you see in this movie. In Turtles 3, that's behind the Brooklyn Bridge. So when the train, the last stop on the train on 6th train is Brooklyn Bridge City Hall. When it goes around to the other track, that's where that loops. That's where that area is. That's supposed to be at.
Well, I don't know anything of that, so you would know better than me.
That's the history of it. So basically, that's supposed to be like the old timing train station and shit like that. I thought the hideout was fucking dope. Like
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, you had a train. You had all the electric working. It looked really cool. Dusty as fuck. It looked. It was cool looking.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it. It had the train cars. It was like. It was perfect for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it really was. It was better than the little cramped area that they were in last time.
Yeah.
It just looked like homeless people lived there. The mole people lived there.
Yeah. And then this is like in between, and simultaneously, then you have Raphael with Kino. Kino doing the test and stuff like that. He did the martial art fight, the disappearing trinket shit, like to take off the mannequin. He had like 3 seconds to do the fucking 15 seconds. They're like, who the fuck could do that in 15 seconds? Then Raphael came in, fucking did everything, fucking ran out. I actually thought that scene was pretty dope. That was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Is just when Raphael started fighting all of them and shit like that, and he was the first one to discover that Shredder's still alive.
Yeah. Well, he saw him. He's like, something wrong? He's like, I think I saw a ghost.
Yeah.
And then, but before that, I think before that scene, we finally got our first view of Tokar and Razor.
No, not yet.
Well, because Raphael gets trapped at that moment in time because they're at.
He sees Shredder though. He hasn't. He hasn't made Tokar Razor just yet.
So he captures Raphael already.
Yeah.
At this time, because Raphael, beat it or I'll kick your butt. You know what I mean? Because they caught wind that they're there.
Yeah.
So go tell the others. So Raphael gets caught up.
Yeah. So before that, we go into before Kino running to April, you had the Turtles call April O'Neil, telling them they got the new place and you should come by sometime and pretty like this. And then you see Michelangelo.
She's gonna go down into the sewer.
Yeah. You see Michelangelo kind of like, yo, give me the phone. He like banged his toe and he's like hopping and you see
April,
Mikey hopping.
It's Mikey.
Hello.
Would you give me that? Like the dynamic between Michelangelo and Donatello was so much funnier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like their interaction, because that was what the cartoon was like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, Kino runs like the whole Brooklyn Bridge all the way to April's house and fucking goes crazy and calls April and finds April. Well, he's like buzzing at her house door and shit like that, yelling
Mikey,
his name.
Leo!
Yeah.
April, you there?
Yeah. So then he runs into April O'Neil, tells her what's going on, and she contacts the Turtles, and the Turtles go on a mission finding their brother.
So now we fast forward over to Shredder finally getting to see Tokar and Razor. You know what I mean? And he's like, "Oh, wonderful! wolf, snapping turtle.
Those are the most dangerous. Those are the most dangerous animals. Yes.
I mean, I think we could have found something else. You know what I mean? But a wolf, nonetheless, a wolf would have been fine. But a snapping turtle.
Yeah.
The irony of that, a bad turtle against the good turtles. I guess that made more sense. But
yeah.
Maybe Tatsu was thinking, all right, well, the turtles kicked their ass. Let's get the bad version of a turtle to make it happen. You know what I mean? So and then he realizes that he was like, at the end of this, attack me if you will, but at the end of this, you will call me master.
Like,
and this is when the personalities of them came out, which was so funny, because they came out looking badass. Like, who the hell put those elbow and knee pads on them? Like, I would have been scared to do that.
They might not be alive.
Yeah, they might have been eating at that time.
Yeah.
I don't know. But they're like, Mama, and he's like, oh, they're babies.
Babies, they're babies. I love that.
It was so funny, man. But it brought that comedy to it. You know what I mean? Is because all they didn't know what the hell they were doing. They were just created.
Yeah.
So this is the first time out of that little pen that they were in.
And then I liked his explanation with them too. It's like he wanted to dispose of them. Like, no, they're living creatures. Like, they need to learn. I
don't care.
He's like, I don't care. He's like, you see the one bang his head with the fucking muffler.
They might be. He hits him in the head with a pipe.
Boom.
And then he bends the pipe. He's like, you put her down. And he starts crying and shit.
Yeah, but then he's like, what they lack in smarts, they have in skill. They're strong.
Yeah, they have strength and shit.
So he sees that, and he's like, maybe I'll keep them.
Yeah,
fucking strong.
That was a good scene. That whole area, that whole construction site that they were in looked dope.
Yeah,
I thought they orchestrated that well.
That could have been like a good video game scene.
It definitely would have. In like Turtles in Time or something like that. Instead of versing Tokar and Razor inside the fucking Terradome.
Yeah.
Which was in the video game.
So now we go forward to when the Turtles rescue mission, and you have the Turtles going in. I love this scene too. It's like, oh, it's quiet, a little too quiet.
A little too quiet. It's Raph.
Hey, it's Raph. Oh, a little too Raph.
A little too Raph. Like, would you shut up?
I love those scenes. I think
that whole scene was a setup too. You know what I mean? Raph was trying to yo, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, he was telling them, yo, it's a trap, and then what happened is a fucking trap. Everyone gets caught. Fucking Donatello gets flung across. They all get caught. They get captured in the net.
In the net thing.
And then a little closer. And then
Splinter comes to the day. Now, this scene, that one part alone really irritated the shit out of me. Because watching it last night, I was like, yo, Shredder, that is the dude that single-handedly destroyed everything you were working for. Like, why are you just standing there yelling to go get them when your ass should have went over and tried to bust Splinter's ass? So, that old rat is not running around like that.
We don't know like the injuries that Shredder has sustained during that garbage can. So this is my thing.
Bleeding and shit.
Yeah, I feel like he couldn't do a lot of this shit. He had to act tough. He wasn't tough.
He had to talk tough.
Yeah,
he had to talk the talk, just not walk the walk.
Exactly. He needed the fucking super steroids to get him fucking strong.
Because he didn't do shit the whole time.
So he was just like, get him.
Like, why wouldn't you go after Splinter?
Because he has a bad back.
Turtle power or cowabunga.
Cowabunga.
We got insurance, dude.
Man, honestly, to this day, like when Splinter comes out and shoots that bow and arrow, I get hyped.
Yeah, no, because it was cool. Because that was actually for the toy line. He had that. That was part of his toy thing. So I thought that was cool. Yeah, but if I was Shredder, I would go after that motherfucker.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
This is the thing is like when we talk about Shredder and how he got off the landfill and shit like that, you don't know the extent of his injuries. Like, he's probably playing it off that he's this tough warrior. Like, when Satsu, when he fucking came up, I will. And shit like that. In his mind, he's like, I hope you don't accept my challenge.
It's like when he's when nobody's looking, he's like, oh fuck,
my leg, my back.
I walked too hard that time. He's taking ice baths and shit.
Yeah, man, I bet he is. Like, fuck.
He's ibuprofen it up.
Yo, right I swear to God, with the whole Tatsu thing, in his mind, he's like, yo, I don't want to fight. Please don't fight me.
please, somebody do something. Do something.
Just be the little bitch you are, please.
Talk loud.
I gotta talk stern.
Cause he didn't do shit. He didn't do shit the whole movie.
So they get rescued by Splinter, and then the turtles start fighting. Donatello rips the tape off of Donatello Raph's mouth, and then he started complaining about it. He puts the tape back on.
He's like, I'm gonna get these first.
And then they release Raph. They all start fighting, and then he releases Toka and Razor.
Yeah, no, that was when they came out. They looked badass.
And then one of my favorite lines is like that, like, didn't we see these guys in WrestleMania? And then it was like, I got the ugly one, you got the ugly one. Which one's the ugly one?
One's the ugly one? And
then they fucking grabbed Donatello. They swung Donatello into a shed, which Professor Perry was in. So Donatello was able to shave him. He ripped the fucking tape off his mouth as well.
Yeah, he's not really good with that tape thing.
He was like, I need more practice. And then
they go battle it out, and then they sneak off into a.
Well, Mikey gets flung into where the sewer is at.
Yeah.
And then he kisses it.
He kisses it. Yeah, he kisses it. He's like, we're going home. And then they go down, and then this is when Raph finally sees, like, the place.
Yeah.
He starts talking shit about it.
Yeah.
He was too used to the laps of luxury at April O'Neil's penthouse that she was in. You know what I mean? Like, he was so above being a turtle. You know what I mean? He really was. He was like, I don't want this. I want, he wanted to go get some turtle pussy or some shit.
Yeah, probably. Not Venus de Milo, though, please.
Nah.
Moving on.
Well, that was Leo's girl.
Actually, no. It was Raph. And the next mutation, Raph, she had a thing for Raph.
I didn't watch the show, so I wouldn't know.
Sadly, I did.
I only saw the
You're going to see it soon.
Yeah, well, unfortunately.
Soon. Yeah. So, moving on. So pretty much they meet Toka Razor for the first time. Mikey D'Angelo was fucking tickling his feet.
Yeah.
Trying to get into his fucking thing. Then we move on to...
We go back down into the sewer, and then they got the professor down there.
Yeah.
And then he was like, he literally said, he's like, when I made them, dumb.
Yeah.
I made sure, I was like, I did not think that I would be making an antidote to it.
Yeah.
So they were sitting there, and they, had Keno go out and go get all the supplies, and they come back, and then it's that funny ass scene with Donatello and the and the stirrer, and everybody's coming up and smelling it, and then Michelangelo drops a slice of pizza, and
he just mixes it in there.
Which is so like they should have just taken it out. Instead, he was like, you know what I mean? And then when they pour it in the cup, it's just like
Bart
melted
Simpson
cheese. Cup. Yeah, if that wasn't like placement, then I don't know what it was. Because it literally was right up to the camera. All you saw was Bart Simpson.
Yeah.
And I remember at this time when I was a kid, around this time, I was Bart Simpson. The famous Halloween costume dude that just made all the masks and the little string. He's like world renowned, like people know who he is. He's fucking famous as hell. I forget his name. But me and my sister were Bart and Maggie Simpson. You know what I mean?
Cool.
At the same time this movie came out, and I remember it, we were at my aunt's house. We had a Halloween party at my aunt's house. It was crazy. I remember specifically that time. You know what I mean? And that Bart Simpson made me, it reminded me of that era a little bit. Because I wasn't really watching The Simpsons like that back then. Because Simpsons was on after 90210, and I was already like, I don't want to watch this shit.
And then, so then you had the mutant message. So basically, Shredder sends them to the street, and you see Toka Razor just destroying shit in the city, calling out the turtles. And
then we got a cameo from the commissioner.
Yeah.
From the first movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I thought his interaction with April O'Neil was hilarious. It's like he did such a tongue twister to her. He's like, are you saying what I think you're saying, and that I'm saying, and this that I'm not really even saying. You know what I mean? Like I thought that was hilarious. But this is when we find out that the new guy that was working was actually the foot soldier. He's like, I got a message for your friends. You know what I mean? Like, so they told them to meet them at this place, or they're gonna send Tokar and Razor into Central Park.
Yeah.
They could have sent them into you could send them into Central Park all they want. Central Park is fucking huge.
Yeah, there's a zoo there.
they would have been walking around in a field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like I also agree with that. I was like Times Square maybe.
Yeah, you know, like Harold Square, 34th Street.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like fucking Chrysler Building, Grand Central could have been a place. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people that will send them to Central Park, where people can actually run away and there's nothing to really destroy.
They'll attack the joggers.
Yeah, the bicyclists. Look out, guys. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that made no sense to me because there's not really any places in Central Park. Strawberry Fields, which is a tourist area. You know what I mean? They could have went there, but people would have just ran through the trees.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and they weren't that fast either.
I know, they were dumb and slow. So, like, Central Park, that was such a bad place to say that they were going.
But then again, that guy ain't that smart either, so.
No, because they knew for a fact that they were going to go out.
Yeah.
And fight them.
So, they also, Professor Perry told them how they had to ingest it, they had to eat it. So Mikey comes up with the scheme of things of the pre-fried donut.
Do you think they had to eat it because Mikey dropped the slice of pizza in it? I always assumed that it was because the ooze, they just sprayed it on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe the reversal would have to have been ingested. But because it looked cheesy, it just made me assume that because it was cheesy, they had to eat it.
No, they had to eat the capsule that was inside.
Yeah, but remember it was all cheesy, so it was like it has to be ingested. I thought because it was cheesy, it was like, oh, it has to be. But that was my kid mind thinking.
Yeah. So the donut, he made the pre-fried donut, and then they go into the warehouse that all the foot soldiers are just standing there, and they had just took a razor, so it's kind of like a fucking like pit fight kind of thing.
Well, they weren't standing there. They walked in, it was all quiet, and fucking Raph was like,
fucking yelled.
They had the ambush on them, but then they came back out, and then they basically fed them.
And then he was like, oh, why don't you have a pre-fight donut? Yummy.
Yeah, because it was like a ritual.
Yeah,
he said like the ritual of the pre-fried donut, and then they gave it to them. And then they ate what, one apiece?
They both ate one, and then the one that had the thing inside, they just looked at them.
Num nums.
And they looked at them like, you think we're stupid?
Like, I ain't dumb, motherfucker.
I smelled this shit from a mile away.
I crunched. Why is there a crunch in a Krispy Kreme? You know
this is the first time you actually see Donatello use a weapon.
What, he uses the block?
He uses the bow, and he whacks one of them.
Oh, in the head.
Yeah.
No, in the shell. They start shaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
so that was the first time they actually used the weapons, but they go and try to fight them, and they getting their ass kicked. Mikey gets thrown into a club.
Yeah, thrown through a wall. And then you see, like, the tagged up thing going in. And then he gets thrown through the door, and then it's fucking Vanilla Ice.
Dang.
Vanilla Ice performing. And I heard about the behind the scenes. I heard that the bouncers for the bodyguards of Vanilla Ice actually got into, like, physical altercations with, like, cast members and shit like that.
Yeah, the guy that plays Michelangelo almost had a fight with the bouncer.
Yeah, well, the guy who played Michelangelo, I think, would have whooped his fucking ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably some Asian dude. They imagine that, like the bouncer of fucking like the bodyguard of Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
Picked a fight with the guy who was in the suit of Michelangelo, and they filmed Michelangelo actually really beating the shit out of somebody.
That would be
I would have put that as like that alternate scene.
Yeah.
You know, like DVD options. You know what I mean? That would have been funny.
We got this memorable. They're in a club and pretty much like that.
Honestly, I think that might have been his #1 song for a very long time.
Yeah, and Ice Ice Baby. Go.
Well, yeah, Ice Ice Baby and Cool as Ice, that movie that he made. But
yeah, no one knows about that movie. They know about the.
Bro, I watched that movie mad times growing up.
Yeah, I didn't know. I probably watched it once. Probably I don't remember it that well. So you got.
Would you look at them costumes? I love this place.
So you see the turtles go run in. They pretty much took a razor to go in, and they got them. They used the fire extinguishers.
The crowd. Yeah, but they used the crowd.
Yeah.
To distract Tokar and Razor, so they actually started having fun with it. Like they, I forget, Michelangelo did like a handstand and kicked him in the head.
Yeah.
A couple times. You know what I mean? They were doing dance moves while they were messing up.
Yes.
And then Tokar and Razor starts burping like crazy. So Professor Perry was like, carbon dioxide will, will speed up the process.
Yeah.
So then they tripped them and then stuck the fire extinguishers in their mouths.
Yep.
And then they start a whole big dance scene, which I thought was awesome.
Yep.
Because it was finally Raph, you know what I mean? He's like, he finally gets to live in the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, yeah. It's like, people see me. They fucking see me, finally.
And then you got the foot soldiers come in, and then Tatsu comes in, and then he got crushed.
Yeah. Well, because they had the canister, and then Kino came up. Well, no, Shredder comes in, and he's on this thing. He's like, I'll keep coming back more and more with more monsters and more mutants. Da 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 da. And then Kino comes in, get out of the way. Comes in, does a roundhouse kick and kicks it. Yep. And then Michelangelo a little volume, raise up the bass, and then hits it with the keyboard and blows Shredder through the fucking wall.
Yep. And
at what point did he ingest that shit, though? You know what I mean?
Maybe when he fucking landed where he landed, he was so hurt.
He was hurt already to begin with, because we already know.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't 100%. He was
like, not again. I just was starting to feel better.
Man, he's like, my back.
My neck is hurt.
he ingested it.
I got 3 herniated discs.
And then the Turtles go investigate to see where he went, and then we got Kevin Nash as Super Shredder.
You know, it wasn't until recently I never knew that.
Yeah, Kevin Nash, Super Shredder. So I
knew who Diesel was growing up. You know, I used to watch wrestling and WCW at this time because of my grandfather and stuff back in the 90s. You know, my grandfather was still alive at the time. So that was the era where I was watching Ric Flair and Macho Man and Diesel and Kevin Nash and, you know.
Well, this was way before he was Diesel. This was way before. Well, he was like fucking. I think he just started wrestling in NWA and things like that. This is even before WCW time. So this was like a lot of years before then. But
I knew who he was. You know what I mean? Like, I knew if I would have known then, I would have. You know what I mean? But it's more of a it's a pleasurable thing to find out later in the years. Like, holy shit, that was fucking. I just told my brother the other day, because he's once you hooked us up with the WWE network. Yeah. My brother's been watching hardcore wrestling stuff all day. Yeah. And I was like, yo, Kevin Nash was Super Shredder. He's like, get the fuck out of here. Which was epic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So see him. This is the most Shredder has done throughout this whole movie.
Well, because he got amped up. He got like adrenaline. You know what I mean?
So he pretty much he was brawling. I don't know how his blades mutated, but they mutated as well.
Yeah, his suit. Technically, if he would have ingested just the ooze itself, he would have bursted through the suit that he was in.
Yeah, he would have been Hulk.
He would have been a naked Super Shredder.
Yeah.
Right?
So they just made him like, I don't know, Rubber Suit Man.
But I remember that toy line at this time that came out, and the toy itself, I remember, looked exactly like it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they portrayed that very well.
It just didn't have the height. It wasn't big. It was still small as the other ones.
And then he says that, you know, he starts breaking the dock that they're under. And then they're like pleading to him, like, yo, you're gonna destroy us all. And he lifts them up. He's like, then so be it. And this is the one moment in time during this movie that the turtles really love the fact that they were turtles.
Yep.
Just remember one thing: we're turtles, and then they jump in the water when the whole shit falls down.
Yeah.
You telling me that's what took him out? That would have never took him out. He's fucking. That's a steroided freak fucking super shredder.
Well, again, we don't know the extent of his injuries, so this might be like a small setback. But then once that shit started coming down, he's like, "Oh shit, my back again."
My back. Doctor says I need a backiotomy.
And then his ass ain't getting out the water.
Nah, he was like, yeah, just let me die. I'm
tired.
I'm done with this shit.
I tried the revenge shit. It didn't work for me. Just kill me.
I can't beat these motherfuckers no matter what I do. No matter what he's like, come on, Lord, what did I do wrong?
So this is my little take with this scene, this final scene. And the fact that Shredder didn't think, and the fact that he was just so like monster and just like
roid raging.
Yeah, like I guess he was just roid raging and just fucking destroying everything. Because if you would have had a common sense, he's like, oh shit, this is falling. I should not do this.
Maybe I should shimmy to the left.
Yeah.
Maybe I should jump in the water too. He literally looked at it and it was like, it's like you just let all that shit just drop on you. It's your fault. You should have used your head.
Yeah.
But then again, he might have had concussions. He might have had CBD or whatever that brain thing.
Yeah.
He might have had that too. You know what I mean? He wasn't thinking right.
Yeah.
Well, the brain injuries and stuff.
We get this line again. I don't care with this guy, but I love being a turtle.
I said it before, and I'll say it again. Man, but he says it so tired.
Yeah.
Man, I love because I always love that scene where the shells popped up. Like, and they made the noise because that's what turtles do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when they pop up to the surface and stuff like that. I thought that was a really good scene. You know what I mean? And
yeah. And then we get the turtles going back to their new digs.
New lair.
And Spencer, were you seen?
Of course, we practice the art of ninja. Your art of invisibility.
Yeah. He throws the newspaper at them.
He's like, ninja rap. Try harder.
Try harder. 10
flips now.
And then
remember, go ninja, go. See, like I love Splinter because as much of a hard ass he is, like there has to be some moments in time where he's like, like I'm not really an asshole. Yeah. But I'm growing kids up. You know what I mean? I gotta make them tough. He probably has like a scene of people that he hangs out with. Nobody knows. And he's probably the funniest guy in the whole fucking group.
Yeah.
He's the funny rat. The funny rata.
And then we get the end of the movie. That is Turtles 2.
Verbatim, scene for scene.
So yeah.
I pride us on our knowledge of not even looking at anything.
No.
I'm just looking at you through my tablet.
Yeah.
Literally scene for scene, we know what these movies are, and I think I'm an expert when it comes to these shits.
These movies I love. Sadly, our next movie is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
I like the third one, man, because you find out that pizza's not Italian, it's actually Japanese.
Yeah.
Because it actually is. Pizza actually came from Japan. It didn't come from. The noodles and pasta came from Japan as well. It was more of the sauce.
Yeah.
That's Italian. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So this is our take on the Turtles 2 movie. What do you grade this movie?
Oh, this shit is I'm giving it a very high grade because it's just it's not a 10 because the first movie's a 10.
Yeah.
This is a 9.8.
9.8? Okay.
9.8. Because I love it. There's not too many things that I can nitpick about it because it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's a kid's movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we just got to always realize The first movie was very adulty.
Yeah.
100%. Ain't nobody can take that away. It was dark. It wasn't as fun as this movie was.
Yeah.
So this was more of the essence of what the Turtles actually were. The first movie, like you said earlier, was more of the comics.
Yeah. So this was more cartoon. The other one was more comic.
Exactly. So, like, to me, well, bro, man, I've got to give it a 10. I can watch it as a 34-year-old adult and still love every second of it.
You know what? I will give it a 9.5. I love the movie, and God, like, again, 1 is a 10. 1 is gonna be a 10 for the rest of my life because I love that movie to death, and that's the one movie I could watch over and over again. I still get a good. I still love the movie.
You can show kids that today.
But this one's another one that I just I love the cheesiness of it. Like, I'm fine with the cheesiness. I'm good with cheesiness as long as you don't go all the way with the cheesiness.
Yeah. Well, they didn't make the whole movie cheesy.
No, but
they made some serious parts. They made some funny parts.
But
and they made some realistic turtle reality parts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
this was more of a diverse movie than the first one.
Yeah. So they had some cheesy jokes. They had some good jokes. They had things like that. But I was all for that. Like, I wanted all that.
You needed that.
I'll say the thing that lacked was the consistency of the story because again, like when we're talking about Shredder and not doing a jack damn thing the whole damn movie, and it's like, yo, like what was the extent of his injuries? I really want to know this. Like, did he had a bad back? Did he hit a bad leg?
Yeah, herniated this. He's got a hernia. He's bleeding out the butt. I want to know things.
I know. Like, I want to see how bad he was injured because he did not do jack shit. He made everyone else do the shit. I did like Toka the Razor. At the time when I was a kid, I did not because I love Bebop and Rocksteady.
I was just going to say that. Would you rather have had a Bebop and Rocksteady instead of Toka and Razor?
Well, I understand why they didn't do Bebop and Rocksteady. Because they wanted to make their own characters for this movie. They wanted to stay. All right, so while we've just finished the movie and stuff like that.
Because Toka and Razor are rich in this movie.
So.
You know what I mean? This movie is what created Toka and Razor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were never in comics. They were never in the cartoons.
No.
So this is an original for this movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which spawned onto the Turtles in Time. It spawned the lore of the history of Toka and Razor.
So,
which are now characters in that world. You know what I mean?
So I'm gonna. So I was going through a lot of the stuff behind this movie and the original ideas for this movie and what it was supposed to lead to. And I'll put the links of where I saw everything on below on this cast, so you guys can actually check out the videos because they're actually really interesting. It makes a lot of sense. So originally, Professor Perry was supposed to be one of the Krangs.
Krang?
He was supposed to be a Krang.
Professor Perry.
Yes. So you remember maybe in the 2003 series, they had these guys that were androids, and then they had the cranes in their stomach?
Yeah. That
was what he was supposed to be.
But Krang that's an alien race and stuff like that, so...
Well, the TGRI, the mutagen is an alien mutagen. So that was the thing that was originally supposed to be put in the cartoons. That was the original take. The mutagen came from Dimension X, and that was the whole thing with it. In the movie, there was originally going to put him as an android, as one of the Cranes, and it was supposed to lead into figuring out what Dimension X was and where the mutagen originally came from. The reason why Bebop and Rocksteady didn't make it to the movie is the fact that Playmates wanted new characters to make toys of, and they didn't want to use any of the old characters from the Playmates.
Which makes sense.
You know what I mean? That was the reason why we didn't get Bebop and Rocksteady.
I mean, at the original origin of Bebop and Rocksteady, they were two thugs, and they were on that train.
Yeah.
That had the mutagen on it, and then it had a bull and a pig on it.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was, and the train crashed, and they mutated that way. You know what I mean?
Well, in the cartoon was they were just experiments. experiments.
No, I thought it was a train crash that created them.
They were experiments. They had a group of people that became mutants, but Beaver and Rocksteady...
Okay. No, the episode that I'm thinking about, something else was created because of the train crash.
Oh, okay.
Now, I remember that specifically. Okay. I can still see the scene in my head right now of that time.
So there was quite a few mutants that were made, but Beaver and Rocksteady was the only ones that actually was used. Because
I loved them, though. They were so dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like... If they were created out of the wrong people. You know what I mean? Uncle Phil, Shredder, at this time in the cartoon, did a horrible choice.
Yeah. But with Bebop and Rocksteady not being in it, I was fine with. Toka Razor was great. I grew to love them as characters. Originally, I didn't. When I was young, I probably didn't like them that much.
I loved them. I loved them when I was younger.
But when I got older, when I watched the movie later on, and I got older, and when they actually started putting them in the comics and things like that, and actually made stories for them, I actually liked them a lot more.
Because they were technically like a one and done, right?
Yeah.
Just in the movie.
But then they became characters in the comic, and they actually became characters in the new cartoon series and all that shit too. And I was all fine with it. Like, I liked the way they used them. I liked the way they built them. So I was like, all right, I'm fine with this. And then you also got them in the games as well. So it was nice.
New toys of them is coming out. Looks amazing.
I can't wait for those. NECA toys are fucking killing it. But that's one series. That's one I need to get is the Toka Razor.
Well, trust me, when that drops, I will daily go to every Walmart.
Yeah.
Because as you recently know, just from mine and your interaction throughout our day, I just dove in headfirst into the Turtles NECA world.
Yeah.
Within one day.
Yeah.
Just spent like $160 on the NECA toys.
Yeah, it's crazy. NECA's killing it with them. Other than that, like the whole thing with the whole Perry being a crane would have been interesting. Because what that was supposed to lead to is more mutant being there, and it was originally supposed to bring in the third turtle, which was supposed to be part of the third movie, and another third turtle, the other turtle, but in the third movie, and that was supposed to be based on Jack Kirby. The turtle name would have been Kirby. There's a lot of rumors on that character. There was so many ways they wanted to bring in that character, and to this day, they have not brought in that character. So I'm waiting for that one person or one cartoon series to actually make him. Yeah, because he sounds like a really interesting character. It's just that no one has made him yet.
But to honor Jack Kirby alone, is worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a Mount Rushmore dude. You know what I mean?
And you know what? Turtles do that like every single time they every time they had a cartoon series and things like that, they do their best to honor Jack Kirby, because that's Kevin Eastman's and Peter Lair's favorite artist was Jack Kirby.
Yeah, that's what they based the whole shit off of.
Yeah. And if you
now they're back together now, so maybe we can get something like that. You know what I mean?
Not a new cartoon series, please.
No, I would take a comic. A comic would be awesome.
I'll take a comic.
That's the origin of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this was never even supposed to be successful. And it went to astronomical levels. So Eastman and Laird did their thing. They were ahead of their time. You know what I mean? And for them to implement a Kirby character in honor of Jack Kirby is just the ultimate bow. You know what I mean? The ultimate head nod to a legend. Because Kirby is up there with, Stan Lee. He's up there with Bob. You know what I mean? Kane and shit like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Fucking George Romero and fucking all them. You know what I mean? Like all the greatest comic book creators and storytellers of the last century.
Yeah.
That man is on the Mount Rushmore. So that would be a nod to him.
It'd be interesting.
You know what I mean?
'Cause they have done their tributes. They have done it because they had this character that had a magical pencil, and he would draw characters, and they come to life. And that character was always named Kirby. And there was a comic book called It was Donatello. It was his own comic. And
it's back in the 90s.
He met him in the basement, and fucking he was drawing characters like that. Two of the cartoon series actually redid that comic book series, that comic book, which was the 2003 series and the 2012 series, which is one of my favorites. They redid those episodes, but they always tributed to Jack Kirby. Even in the end of even at the end of the show, they say tribute to Jack Kirby.
Yeah,
which is cool.
So that's good, man. That would be an interesting take, man. I think that could broaden the horizons more.
Yeah.
Open up the universe more, and then also give a nod to the past.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that would be pretty dope, because now they're back together according to that Netflix special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see what comes in the future, because I don't see Turtles going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree. So, with that, I guess we'll wrap this up. This is another Shell Shock, our review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze.
I mean, you don't even need to watch the movie after this review, because we literally verbatim, scene for scene, killed it. But definitely go back and watch them, because they need to be in every child's movie stock. You know what I mean? These are a series of films that need to stand the test of time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, our grandkids need to watch these movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree. And I introduced it, like, all my nieces or my nephews all watch this movie with me. Even my godson, to this day, we all watch it.
My niece who is 6 turning 7, knows everything about the Power Rangers, knows Ninja Turtles, knows Batman. And
that's
I love it.
Needs to know.
That's all they need to know. You know what I mean? That's it.
So yeah, with this movie, they're both on Netflix. So Turtles 1, 2, and 3. And
I was upset that the third one wasn't on there, because I actually after I was done watching it.
Okay.
No, it's the animated movie from 2012.
That one was really good too. So we will be getting into that after
later.
Turtles 3.
Yeah, Turtles 3, and then it will be that, and then we'll go into the new school ones.
Oh god.
Maybe before the new school, we'll go into the series.
Okay.
Before the new school,
we'll talk about
just to do a little break from the movies.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you for listening. This is another episode of Shell Shock by Recycle Inc. I am Mark with the mic. That's Tenacious T. You can find us on all our social medias. Follow me on all Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, SoundCloud, Twitch TV, YouTube, and all Mark with the mic. Follow our Facebook groups, the Wrestling Babble and the Recycling Inc. group, and follow Tenacious T on what you got.
Yeah, I'm going to be making soon my own Tenacious T Instagram, Twitter, all that, because everything is all my personal stuff. But you can always follow me on Twitter, @TTGunnaIlson. It's kind of hard to spell. We'll put that at the bottom. You can always click that link and add me on that. And then my personal Instagram would be T_DA_GUN. But I will be making like I said, a page just specifically for Red Cyclone Inc. for any type of content that I am on and that Red Cycle Inc. is on.
Okay.
To help push that movement going, because we are only as good as our followers. You know what I mean? So I appreciate everybody who has tuned in to our Not a Trekkie cast, our Morphing cast, your Wrestling Babble, all the Red Cyclone Inc. Casts, and shout outs to all the fellow cast mates.
Yes. That's what I want to do next. Shout outs to Louis Beans. He's the one that's going to be editing and taking care of making these podcasts really nice and clean. Shout outs to Red Cycle Inc. Please follow everything that social media, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, WordPress, our Facebook page, and all Red Cycle Inc. and YouTube as well, Red Cycle Inc. And then also shout outs to Game On.
Always. They are a retro video goods game store specializing on everything from Atari, actually before Atari, to nowadays stuff. They don't really specialize in PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. They do have that, but it's mostly PlayStation 3 and below. They also got cards from back in the days, toys from back in the days, every type of cable that you need, everything. And in the times that we are right now, they are actually stepping up to the plate and making it more of an out-of-store online kind of thing. Yeah. So now is the time. If you were ever interested in starting a collection, continuing a collection, looking for that lost console that you used to have as a kid that you never had, this is the time to do it because they are now doing mail orders.
Yep.
So, shouts out to Tristan and the whole squad, Tristan and Jay. Those are the ones specifically I interact with on a daily basis, and they are doing everything that they can to keep our needs fulfilled.
All right. Yes, follow them. I had my first experience in that store, and I loved it every bit as much as I can.
I'm happy you enjoyed it, and I'm happy it was my birthday.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
so,
I really enjoyed myself and everything like that. So definitely check them out. I'll leave their link below on our podcast as well. And stay tuned for Not a Trekkie.
Yeah, Not a Trekkie will be airing as well. So
all right,
check our previous cast, of course.
Yes, check our previous cast on SoundCloud and YouTube. And follow everything that we do. Peace out, laters, and
guys, just be safe.
Cowabunga.
Cowabunga, dude. Hell yeah, right?
Cowabunga.
I sort of want pizza now. Like, I want to order a pie.
Yeah. You got to make sure that has extra cheese. Peace out. Stay safe. Stay home. Later.